I came huffing, puffing, running, and that's how I just reached almost in time, almost 2.5 minutes late by the time I just reached here. So, I mean, I reached in time through the notes. So, my pleasure, Labdi. You are benefiting from the notes. That is that is coming as a great help and relief. So we are going to like reflect upon attitude. So yesterday we started with this topic of attitude, and as we went through it, I gave you the definition, what is attitude, the overview associated with attitude, and then after connecting it with the definition of attitude, we started discussing that how the attitude which is associated with three segments. Remember, in the first session we had discussed about attitude, that it is cognitive plus emotion plus past experiences creating attitude. Remember that? So cognition was based on beliefs. After cognition, which was based on beliefs, the second dimension was emotion. Emotion with cognition created values, and emotion plus cognition, that was values, with when added to past experiences, that led to attitude. Remember all that I had discussed previously? So explaining that, in previous session, like yesterday, I discussed the difference between belief and attitude, how belief was based on facts of the case or the cognition, and how attitude was associated with our, we can say, the emotional aspect, right? Our emotional connectivity, the feeling per se. Now, with respect to this, yesterday we reflected upon, like we can consider the components, right? The components, or we can say components or content associated with the CAB model, that is cognitive, affective and behavioral model. With respect to the cognitive, affective and behavioral model, I gave you the example of Nawazuddin Siddiqui and Salman Khan, that how both the actors have a different impact in terms of the cognitive, affective and behavioral aspect, which determines my attitude towards them. If a movie is releasing, it is affecting my choice, how I would be responding to the situation, to the movie accordingly. Yes, some immediate situations can also influence my choices. So I gave you like the example related to Salman Khan, that how, like, I personally do not like the script he chooses or the overacting he does. So that's the factual aspect. The emotional aspect is I have got bored every time I have tried to watch his movies. I'm unable to survive it even for free on the TV. So like the affective aspect, the emotional aspect has been like bored or dissociated, and the behavioral aspect, the past experiences have also not been so fruitful, so I desist watching his movies. But there is a twist in the situation. I told you that my cousins have come and they want to, like, behave like hooligans in the movie hall by occupying a corner and giving counter dialogues to his dialogue, dance over the issue, right? And I said that in that situation, I'm motivated to enjoy their company and be there for the sake of my cousins rather than Salman Khan. So the response, the final human behavior, the final human response can also differ because of the situations. So the final human behavior is determined by two things: the situation as well as like the attitude that is there. So attitude plus situation is determining the final response. Can we also give these kind of examples, or do we have to stick to some examples related to service? No, not necessarily. You can just give certain examples, because see, I mean, like, when cognitive, behavioral and affective aspects are asked, there are so many segments which we have started with yesterday, which we would be reflecting upon. So cognitive components are associated with stereotypes. So we build stereotypes when we have insufficient information, facts are not supported enough, then we build stereotypes. I gave you a lot of examples of it. Stereotype is different from prejudice. Prejudice is based on emotion, right? So I said that prejudice is when there is a negative feeling towards someone or something. So the negative feeling plus stereotypes plus the tendency to discriminate creates prejudice. So prejudice is the emotive aspect, hence it is associated with affective dimension. So after cognitive, we can associate it with affective subsegment when we are reflecting upon the same. And then the third segment comes, that is behavioral component. when we are reflecting upon the behavioral component, we all can see that what can quantify, what can help us to connect with the behavioral subsegments. And when we are reflecting upon the same, so behavioral is associated with past experience. So if past experience is not fruitful, that is something which leads to a sense of discrimination. That is something which leads to the dimension of not having a positive like insight towards a community or a person. And when negative emotions are generated along with past experiences and discrimination articulates itself, that can lead to isolation or exclusion of a community. If a community is isolated or excluded, that can lead to elimination or genocide, right? So that's what we all can connect with. And I gave you the example of Hitler, if all of you can recall. So I gave you the example of Hitler, and any mass genocide that has been carried forward in any we can say time period of human history, we can relate with this chart, how it like articulates itself, how it unfolds itself. In case of case studies, the possibilities are given, we have to choose correct one comparatively and explain the reasons. Yes, Prashant, very true. That is what was explained yesterday, and that is what you have to put in action when you are reflecting upon the case study. So prejudice is far big than stereotype. There are so many things that add with it. Sarashti, it's not far big. Stereotype is associated with factual aspects going wrong, not having sufficient information about factual aspect. Stereotype is when we are talking about like stereotype, so stereotype is associated with the factual aspect. Prejudice, on the other hand, prejudice is associated with negative feeling we possess, negative feeling with again stereotypes, the previous one, and the next one, discrimination. So prejudice is that sense of discrimination, that sense of like I would say negative feeling we have towards a community or a person. Okay, so it's associated with cognitive affective subsegments, Sarashti, when we speak of it. Audio not audible, audio not audible is like audio is audible, it's at your end. अब इसको कैसे समझाएं? SME, please support me with Nitesh's query because it needs to be typed and explained. Yes, so that's how you were explained yesterday. We are going to start with cognitive, affective, and behavioral components and the relationship between that, like three, right? Rohingya crisis can also be an example. Yes, any form of discrimination, articulating itself that a community is isolated, excluded, and experiencing discrimination, any community can qualify as an example for this. Okay, so at our end, the voice is clear. There should be no problem of voice. So, some echo problem, I don't know how to sort the echo problem. Is the echo problem with everyone? Okay, Abhishek, it's clear. Fine. So I think it's clear for majority. Some two, three, no problems, no problems. All right, all right, fine. So when there is no problem and almost everyone is saying that the two, three students who are experiencing this problem, please go ahead with refreshing your system. Maybe that can help. So let us start with the relationship between CAB component. Fine. So let us start with this given dimension. Okay. So this much was explained so far. Yesterday we had reflected upon it. Now the fun fact is when we are going to build upon the basic concepts, because if you are able to recall the previous day's concept, you can connect it with today's subsegment. Then only you can build upon it. Okay. So let us start. Yes, Kuki and Maiti community is also experiencing discrimination. Ganesh. All right. In Islamic countries, Shias and Sunnis, yes, you can connect with that as well. Fine. Now, as we are talking about this given subsegment, the relationship between CAB components. Okay, so let us first and foremost start with the chocolate cake. Looks very good, gooey, saucy, chocolatey, very nice. You feel like taking a bite, especially if you like chocolate flavor. Now, see, when we are talking about the cognitive, affective, and behavioral aspects associated with the chocolate cake, so the cognitive aspect, the cognitive is related to facts. So the fact is like it is loaded with calories, it is very rich, It will taste good, but it will cause weight increase within a short span of time if someone is not exercising that diligently, taking care of the calorie count. So the cognitive aspect will encourage to have limited portion, okay, and not indulge in the cake per se. The affective aspect will be like, yeah, it's looking so good, let me just have a nice bite of it. I'm not going to eat cake almost on a daily basis. I'm not having access to cakes on a daily basis, so why to like get so affected? And the affective segment is also saying that it's okay, one day if I'm eating, it won't make a big difference. Okay. Or how about the possibility that if I'm liking something, let me just enjoy it, or let me just celebrate it. Okay. So that's associated with the affective subsegment, right? When we are talking about it. So um, that's associated with, we can say, the emotions that get generated. Then comes the behavioral aspect. Every time I have eaten a chocolate cake in the past, I felt so happy. There's so much of happiness. The world looks brighter. Everything looks like energized. It just cheers me up, right? So something like that. So cognitive, affective, behavioral, when we are reflecting upon it. So like, let's say the facts of the situation, when we are talking about the cognitive aspect, the fact related to the chocolate cake. So suppose there are five negatives. The affective aspect, like why I like it, or what is something that I really enjoy about the cake. So it's like, again, I have, like, let's say, 4 points associated with the positives. Okay. And the experience aspect of the past. Okay, so past experience has also been like good as well as bad. So like negative, because weight increase hua on birthday, whenever I have finished off my cake, polished off my cake. So all good cakes I hide that, so that my friends don't finish it off or smear on my face. And the average cakes I give them to smear on my face or to finish it off. So the good cupcakes or cakes which are left, which I polish off myself, it has always led to weight increase. I'm not joking. Okay, I'm just saying it on a serious note. And positive aspect is that every time I have had it, it has cheered me up. Okay, so cheers up, right? So with respect to this, when we are talking about it, this is not like encouraging us to recall our favorite food items like samosa, Vijay. Okay, so that ways everyone will start declaring their favorite dishes. And it's not necessary I might be liking a chocolate cake, but I'm just saying that, like, this is how, when we are like reflecting upon the given segment, right? So cognitive, affective, behavioral. And thank you for the concern, Vivek. My birthday, well, I can share because it's not coming right now. So it's like 11th January. So that's how. Okay. Now, so with respect to this, when, oh, Nirmala, you remember? That's so sweet. Thank you. So when we are speaking of this cognitive, affective, behavioral, oh, you must be remembering because I taken off that day. I always taken off. That's also there. So because I don't feel like working on my birthdays, it should be celebrated. That's like my day. So yeah. So when we are speaking of it, oh, interesting, Sachin, that we share birthdays together. Now let's get back to the topic. So cognitive, affective, behavioral. So there are 5 points which are negative, 4 points which are positive. Past experience has also been mixed. So this will create a mixed emotion. Okay, mixed emotion. And because of which weak attitude gets created. Weak attitude means whether I will eat or not eat, that comes under a dilemma. So suppose there are more positive points, that it is cheering me up, giving happiness. I feel that I'm in a good mood. Recently I was sad or very tired, so having a chocolate cake will be like really nice. So if I have more like positives and less negative, then there is a high chance I'll have the cake. Okay. And but with a sense of guilt, that there will be cognitive dissonance, but with a sense of guilt. But if there are more negatives, that, oh, it has led to weight increase, or for someone it has been an issue of diabetes, or for someone it has been issue related to something like a toothache or something like that, whatever. So for those people, we will see that the cognitive aspect will dominate. So despite the positives of chocolate cake being there, the person may refrain from eating the cake. Okay, so that's why there is weak emotions and weak attitude is generated. Think about it with respect to Krishna, CAB. What is CAB? For that you need to be present since yesterday. Last like yesterday's last 45 minutes you have missed. Congratulations for that. Okay, today's 20 minutes also you have missed. Sorry for that also, because I explained what is CAB. That's cognitive, affective, and behavioral. I won't repeat the entire detail of it, but simply put, cognitive is related to our thought, facts, okay, logic. Affective is related to emotion, and B is behavioral, is related to past. All right, past experiences. But it is advisable, please don't miss the sessions, and please cover the sessions if you miss it, so that you don't struggle in understanding the basic concepts, because this is going to further, spin in a more tough proposition in the forthcoming minutes. All right, and this is advisable to all the students who have a tendency to miss the session and not go ahead with revising the component. So yesterday I gave example of how India performed pathetic in multidimensional poverty, and yes, that was Sania. Do you remember this, that I said about 2010? Okay, always remember the facts in full, otherwise you will suffer from stereotypes. Remember what is stereotypes? Remembering facts incorrectly or insufficiently. So then you build stereotypes. I said that 2005-6 National Family Health Survey was taken up in 2010 to build multidimensional poverty index, and that came as a surprise for the world, because MPI said that the total number of poor living in India is far greater than all 24 African nations clubbed together. So the world was like, oh my God, it was like that. Okay. So, and then what happened when once India realized that its National Family Health Survey, which is improving the global ranking, and National Family Health Survey is like, domestic byproduct, means we are the ones who are collecting the data. So thus started the game. So 2015-16 National Family Health Survey 4 data was collected, which improved our ranking in 2018. Again, National Family Health Survey data was collected in 2020-2021, and the 2021 data that was collected, the Niti Aayog refreshed the report of multidimensional poverty index last year in 2022, and 2023 we expect like UNDP to come up with it. But UNDP in the month of January did make a profound statement that the rate with which India made a progress between 2005 to 2015-16 on the basis of National Family Health Survey and Multidimensional Poverty Index, with a even much faster rate. India has progressed between 2015-16 to 2021. So now the question is, has it really progressed that fast, especially when COVID had come in between, demonetization happened in between? Right after 15-16 we were hit with demonetization and then COVID, two big stumbling blocks to our development. So is it possible that we actually developed at a much faster pace compared to the development between 2005-6 to 2015-16? Or has the sample survey been manipulated? Or have we collected the sample from much healthier and more balanced regions, households, which are relatively in a healthy condition, so that our overall ranking improves internationally? All that also comes under scanner when we speak of it. All right. So I hope all of you are understanding this, Sania, and not just Sania, others also. Never misquote people and never hear partially. Be a keen listener and become a sharp bureaucrat. Listen to the entire information in a wholesome manner. Remember it in a wholesome manner. Otherwise, anyone can slip into stereotypes, or we can say faulty impressions about the wholesome idea. Okay. Multidimensional poverty index will be discussed when poverty is discussed. Okay, so there is a, like, I'm waiting for UNDP to respond once again related to it. So let's not mix chapters, let's get back to what we were discussing. I gave the example just to give you an idea that how our perceptions change. So our prejudice related to, when we are talking about like stereotype, I gave the example that our stereotypical image about Africa is this, but the truth about Africa compared to India in 2010 related to MPI was that, in terms of data. Okay, now I don't know how many of it has responded today. Okay, all right. So I don't know how many of you have actually gone through the details of development of various countries, even in Africa, few of the countries are so very progressive compared to India. So again, when we are talking about stereotypes, that's how we can connect with. So when we are talking about this given dimension pertaining to the CAB model, cognitive, affective and behavioral model, we all can see, like for example, for bitter gourd. So bitter gourd, many people don't like it. So for those people who don't like it, okay. So positive aspects, when we are talking about cognitive aspect, factual aspect, so like let's say in factual aspect there are a lot of positives about bitter gourd. It's good for health, it is also helping in not getting the cancer cells, it is good for detoxifying the body, purifying the blood, all right, it's good for, yes, diabetes patients as well. So you can think of positives, and then you are thinking of the negative aspect, that I don't like the taste. Suppose someone doesn't like, so the person doesn't like the taste, doesn't like find it good in its shape, or the look is not very inviting. So as a child, child is saying that the skin of the bitter gourd looks like that of a crocodile, so calls it crocodile vegetable, it and says that I don't like crocodile vegetable, something like that, okay. So when we are talking about such possibilities, okay, so positives are also there related to health, there are negatives also associated with it in terms of the taste and all that. So the behavioral aspect, what has been the past experience, so like let's say past experience has been this, that every time someone has served bitter gourd, you have either not eaten it, or you have eaten a part of it and left the rest. So you have not really liked it. Suppose someone is experiencing that. So in this case also, what can we see? In this case also, a possibility of, we can consider a mixed emotion getting generated. All right, so that's also there. So this is there. We can consider this aspect creating a mixed emotion. So mixed emotion, and mixed emotion will generate what? Weak attitude. Okay. So weak attitude when we are talking about it. So like like let's say in this given situation, when we are talking about this, I can also give you one more new term, that is ambivalent. Ambivalent. So ambivalent or being ambivalence, what is ambivalence when we are speaking of this given term which is there in your syllabus? So ambivalence, okay, all right, fine. So when we are speaking of this term associated with ambivalence, what does it imply and how can we connect it with the present subsegment? So like let us say here is like an image of a girl and a boy. Let us consider they are going to the college, okay? And a morning batch student was also informing the name, it's Hage Maru. So I'm like, okay, whoever the child is, let us just consider that here is a child who is like so we are not getting into the discussing the name of this person, okay, we are just into the segment of discussing the concept right now. So here let us consider that there is this girl, like let's call her Bubbly here, okay, and like let's consider this boy, he is Bunty. And what is there, that they have survived 1 year of friendship in college, okay. So 1 year of friendship in college. Now how ambivalent attitude gets created, let us understand that, okay. So let us consider certain subsegments. So positive, negative, and like let us say cognitive, affective, behavioral. All right, so let us reflect upon this given segment. So cognitive is, like cognitive means the factual aspects. So suppose like this boy says that or feels that like Bubbly is, like when we are talking about the relationship between Bunty and Bubbly, so Bunty is liking Bubbly and he is thinking whether I should propose her or not. Okay, it's been 1 year of friendship and I really like her, so like how to go about with the course of action later. So like let's say Bunty is feeling about Bubbly that, oh, she is a very cute girl, so she is good looking, she is beautiful, whatever. And then he sees that she is also tall, So she has got a very good height, and like, she is also like preparing for the same exam, so preparing for same competition, so preparing for same competition. So he is motivated by some kind of facts. Then there is a negative fact associated with it, or like, let's say, let me, preparing for the same exam, father is IPS, so very well connected family, so IPS father. Okay, now, like, let us say, when we are talking about the negative aspects, the negative facts of the case. So Bunty is realizing, first fact is that, like, he is like not so tall, so he's little shorter than her. So the girl is like, let's say, 5'4", the boy is 5'3". Okay, so his height is short. Then he is realizing that, like, he is not so good in studies, so academically he's not so good. So how will he compete with her in the competition? And third thing is, when he is thinking of family background, so he's like, her father is an IPS, but my father is clerk. Okay, so facts of the case are these for him, the cognitive aspect when we are talking about it. So now, this boy, this is Bunty's thought. Okay, Sahil, it's not my thought, so we cannot categorize it into stereotypes or prejudice or discrimination. We'll just keep it fact as fact, what Bunty is thinking factually. What are the positive aspects according to him factually, and what are the negative aspects according to him factually? All right. Now, affective aspect, when we are discussing about it. So, in affective dimension, he is thinking that every time I see her, I feel happy. So, happy to see her, right? And when it comes to negative emotion, so he has heard that Bubbly has said that my father has threatened to kill anyone who tries to date me. So father's threat to kill if someone is dating the daughter. So in case of dating the daughter, it is a risk to life. All right, so this is the emotional aspect. Now the behavioral aspect. So like, Bunty is recalled of like the past experience. So in the past, when he was in school, so he was in a relationship, and as he was in a relationship, the complaint reached the parents and he was beaten up. Okay, so beaten up, black and blue, by the parents of that girl. So in that situation, we all can see that the past experience was negative. Now, and the negative aspect with respect to, when we are speaking of it. Okay, and so sorry, negative मैंने पहले लिख दिया, right? That was like jumping the gun, I should not have. So just a second. So first the positive past and then the negative aspect. So like, let's say the positive experience associated with Bubbly is that he has been in a friendship. So friendship, we can consider, has been there for 1+ year. So that's the positive thing, that now they know each other. There is a lot of strength in their relationship in terms of cordial relationship, understanding each other, whatever. And the negative aspect is that his past relationship, past relationship in school, led to beating. So past relationship in school, he was beaten up by the girl's parents. Okay, the ex's parents. Now in this situation, there are a lot of positives and a lot of negatives. This lot of positives, okay, so ambivalence is when there are a lot of positives and a lot of negatives. So a lot of positives and a lot of negatives, they add to the emotion being called ambivalent. Okay, that is how we can connect it with ambivalent. Okay, so when we are speaking of this given dimension, I mean, here also, like cognition, when we are talking about it, so love, love, people say that love is blind. Why do they call love is blind? For the simple reason, you don't use reasoning, you don't use cognition, you don't use the C factor, you use the A factor, affective. The affective model is something which is like creating the possibility for you, right? So the cognitive dimension is something which is not affecting. Why are you so emotional, Vijay? Why are you like constantly writing break up, break up, break up? I mean, has there been some, I would say, crisis that you have experienced, that you want the manifestation of it in the larger world? So let us, like poor kids, they are that too in we can say imaginary world. So let us at least them be happy in the imaginary world, right? Now, so when we are talking about this given possibility associated with cognitive, affective, and behavioral aspect, building upon the basics, we all need to understand that like when we are reflecting upon this entire segment, this ambivalence and weak attitude, which I was discussing, mixed emotions and mixed emotions leading to weak attitude, and then connecting it with ambivalence when there is a lot of positives and lot of negatives. So on this basis, you can understand that. The components, okay, so the components of CAB model have a have a synergized relationship, okay, when we speak of it, when an individual when an individual possesses positive beliefs about an attitude object, it can be a person, an object, whatever, cake, karela or bitter gourd, whatever you consider it to be, okay. So when a person possesses a positive belief, okay, or positive facts, cognitive facts about like we can say an attitude object, then there are positive affective, means positive emotions are also can be there. So positive affective and behavioral associations with the object, okay, behavioral associations with the object, okay, though it is not always true, because there can be weak attitude also, or there can be mixed attitude in terms of ambivalence as well, okay. So though it is not always true. Why it is not always true? Because it is not always true because despite having a positive emotion, positive facts clear in our mind, still there can be some cognitive aspect of or behavioral aspect which is negative, because of which in the heart of the heart a negative emotion is created. Can love be positive with regard to partner? As oh, all right. All right, fine, Jadav. So the concern that you are raising, that can one be in love and love be positive to a partner? See, I told you, Jadav, remember when I was discussing ethics in private relationship? So if you remember the points of ethics in private relationship, what Adler was saying, what Mahatma Gandhi was saying. So when there is a deep sense of respect, harmony, understanding, adjustment, that is something which is love. And love is a benevolent concept. It can be towards parents. It's not necessarily that it is only in romantic relationships. It can be towards anyone and everyone, your neighbors. It can be associated with strangers. It can be associated with random people you come across, like on a busy street on a busy day. Okay. It can be associated with the larger society. It can be associated with the nation state. So when we are talking about this idea of love and appreciation, it has a broader impact in private life, because the people are there constantly with us or staying constantly with us. So there has to be there, if there is cost benefit analysis, then hormones are at play, not love per se. Okay, Jadav. So now when we are further like trying to understand the relationship between CAB models, CAB components, we can connect it also with the structure of attitude. So I believe everyone can connect with the relation between CAB model, that how the relation can be also like weak attitude or it can be ambivalent attitude, right? So we will be building upon this given component further in terms of structure of attitude. So I advise everyone, I really sincerely request and advise everyone, please go through the material that I'm constantly posting, getting it posted in your ARM section. Those students who have yet not started, whether it is foundational values for civil services or the chapter related to attitude, with it's an earnest request from my side, please start reading it. Your basic concepts will start building profoundly, more insights and dimensions will get clearer along with the lecture that I'm giving you and the concepts which I'm writing, noting on the board. All right. So, what is written before related? Related? Where is related written? I'll have to cross check. What is written before relate? I just cannot. Pragati, you'll have to say the subtopic under which you are saying, because then I'll keep hunting down where is the word related written. And all right. So, ma'am, can we take the example of Arjuna here, that he had mixed emotion and weak attitude? Yes, 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 Harshita. Very good. That's also the way you can connect. That's the beauty. Once the theory starts getting clear for all of you, once the theory starts getting established, you can connect it with like, a lot of incidents which have happened in the past or which are happening around you. That's how you build the concepts. All right. So the word before relationship, again the word relationship, synergized. Okay. Okay. Fine. So now, with respect to this, as we are going to like start with the structure of attitude. Okay. So structure of attitude, when we are going to build upon it, let us get connected to it. So these are positive evaluations, and these are, let us consider, negative evaluations. With respect to positive and negative evaluation, let us consider something like, okay. So with respect to it, when we are talking about the positive and negative evaluations, you understand positive and negative evaluations, right? So you are having some positive cognitive facts, you are having some positive affective facts, getting it? So affective emotions or feelings, so combination is going to create like some positive evaluation and negative evaluation. Now with respect to this, what gets built? It is our attitude that gets built. So this is our attitude. Can you draw this diagram in the exam? You can. All right. And you should, because that will give you more marks. So when we can consider that this very segment 5 and 5 gets created when you have 5 points negative and when you have 5 points positive related to a given thing or a situation or a person. So 5 positive points, 5 negative points. Okay. So 5 plus 5 minus. So this is going to create what? Neutral. Neutral, we can consider a neutral attitude is what gets created. Similarly, like let me say, if we are connecting it with, okay, let us consider the segment is associated with 10 and 10, 10 positives and 10 negative points. Okay, so in that situation, we all see that when 10 positives and 10 negatives are there, in that situation, what will get created? Ambivalent attitude. I told you a lot of positive, a lot of negative creates ambivalent attitude. So, ambivalent attitude when we are speaking of it. Okay, like what is ambivalent attitude? When I have to explain this to you. So, like let us say your like dimension associated with like let's say before Anna Hazare's movement, before Anna Hazare's movement. So before Anna Hazare's movement, your attitude, not your, because you were very tiny, so I have to remove this component of your. So before Anna Hazare's movement, people of India, let me connect it with like this. So before Anna Hazare's movement, people were neutral towards corruption. They were like having some negative points that it is harmful for the system, but sometimes it is easy to get their work done when they are in a stuck situation to surpass the order. So all that. So movement people were neutral towards corruption. Neutral towards corruption, right? Because people had less awareness, had less awareness and information. Okay, information. Okay, but then what happened after the movement? After the movement, we all can see that after the movement, their attitude shifted from their attitude shifted from neutral to ambivalent. So their attitude shifted from neutral to ambivalent. And why did it shift to from neutral to ambivalent? Because we can see in ambivalent, you have a lot of positives and a lot of negatives. So you are now more informed about types of corruption and more informed about how it is also easing the process for those who are in power. Okay. So with respect to this, when we are talking about it, so in ambivalent we can like this SME, please support me with minor queries if students raise it. So when we are speaking of this given dimension in ambivalent, we need to understand that in ambivalent an individual is troubled about what kind of attitude to possess. Okay, about what kind of attitude to possess towards something, because now there are a lot of positive points and a lot of negative points that you have towards something. Okay, what kind of attitude to possess towards something or someone, right? So it is a state of unrest, a state of unrest, or we can say it is also a state of confusion that whether I should move towards the positive aspect or move towards the negative aspect. Okay, so when there is limited knowledge, that's what all of you are understanding this. So when there is limited knowledge, then it is neutral, and when there is a lot of knowledge and still the confusion is persisting, so neutral, like 5 negatives, 5 positives. And when there is a lot of knowledge and the confusion is persisting, that is called ambivalent attitude. That Bunty Bubbly example that I gave you, so you can connect with that, right? So the boy had a lot of positives also, a lot of negative points also related to whether he should propose the girl or not propose the girl, right? So you can just connect with this. So 10 positives, 10 negatives, that's how you can connect this given dimension when we are talking about it. Again, like let us consider when we are speaking of it. Okay, confusion in filing this. No. Labdhi, it is associated with when like you are talking all about honesty, but your sibling is involved in it, or some uncle is involved in it, or your father is involved in it. So in that situation, there will be a high degree of ambivalence. Earlier, you did not know that father is involved in it or sibling is involved in some corruption related act. So you are having a neutral attitude with limited information about acts of corruption and manifestation or impact of it. But when you're over informed from like personal quarter as well as professional quarter, that what are the demerits of corruption and then what are the segments which are articulating due to corruption, so in that situation this ambivalent can be associated with it. Okay, so attitude of like let us say when we are speaking of it, a CEO towards his employee who's like let's say intelligent and energetic, is contributive but corrupt. So in this situation also you can think of it, right, that there will be like the possibility of ambivalence occurring, that should I continue with this person, the person is getting so much of business, or should I get rid of this person because a lot of confusion is happening. So the structure of attitude, when we speak of it, it is associated with positives and negatives, and between this positive and negative, we can say emotions, facts, experiences raises the possibility of what we are experiencing. So we can say the structure of attitude decides the extent to which an attitude in question an attitude in question can affect the actual behavior of an individual can affect the actual behavior of an individual. So we can connect it like this, like weak attitude, if it is there. So weak attitude, so what happens in that condition? Locus of control will shift to external. Locus of control shifts from internal to external. I've already explained this so many number of times. Anyway, so as we are talking about this component, dissonance, I'll explain. Cognitive dissonance, Vijeta, have patience. We will be talking about cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is the manifestation of it, manifestation of this, what is occurring due to ambivalent attitude, okay, or due to this. Again, when I'm talking about this, how about I substantiate something more associated with this attitude in terms of weak attitude and strong attitude. So there's something more which we can connect, maybe. Okay. So, like, let us consider if there is like 4 negative points and 2 positive points. So, with 4 negatives and 2 positives, what will it be? So, it will be strong negative attitude. So, what is strong negative attitude? We all can see it is over here. That is 4 negatives, 2 positives. So you have 2 positive points and you have like 4 negative points. So that is going to create what? Strong negative attitude, right? You can see what is neutral. You can see what is like ambivalent, right? So neutral, ambivalent, you can just connect with these given possibilities, right? Again, further, when we are moving ahead with this, we can connect it with, like, let's say, what is weak negative attitude. So weak negative attitude will be like, let us consider in this given situation. So weak negative, 3 points, a bit of teda meda, but I hope you can connect. So, like, let us consider if there are 3 points which are negative And like there are no, it's like, sorry, 3 and 2, something like that I had to make. Wait, let me erase it. Maybe I should not touch 3. I will touch something else, a bigger number, and that will create a better perception. It will generate a better perception. So, when we are speaking of it, so like let us consider something like um, 6 and 4 can be taken. Yeah, but it's just that. Okay. So, like let us consider. Okay, so this is associated with minus, negatives are 6 and positives are 4. So this is your weak negative attitude. It's weak negative attitude because the attitude pertaining to weaker points are not too different. They are not too many in number compared to the positive. There are 4 positives also, and there are 2 extra negatives, so it's like 6 negatives. So your attitude towards how to decide upon the situation, which it will be associated with the weak negative attitude. Weak negative because like the negative is dominating in the situation still, but still it is weak because positives are also quite sizable in number. All right. Again, let us reflect upon the same pertaining to another example. So, like, let us consider when we are speaking of this, let us consider weak positive attitude. What is weak positive attitude? When the negatives are competing with the positives, that is going to create weak positive attitude. Okay, so like let us consider there are um, 6 points from here. So 6 points from here, and like let us consider again 4 points from here. Okay, so positives are 6 positives. Okay, and like there are 4 negatives. Okay, so this is leading to a weak positive attitude. So we can connect it with weak positive attitude. And why is it a weak positive attitude? Because the positives are still dominating, but the negatives are also competing with the positives, slightly less. So that's what. All right. Similarly, like let us consider if I am taking something like a strong positive attitude. So, strong positive attitude. So, strong positive attitude can be determined like let us say this. So, strong positive attitude is when there are 7 positives and there are 3 negatives. Okay, so 3 negatives. So that is something which is creating a strong positive attitude, because you have more number of positives in the given situation compared to the negatives. All right. So I hope all of you are able to see this diagram. This is nothing but basic graph sheet which you can make in the exam. This is something which we were introduced to in standard 6, the graph sheet and how to use the graph sheet. All you need to do is be patient, revise it multiple times, understand the logic associated with it, create multiple examples. There is no end to example related to it. The same bitter gourd example can be a strong positive and can be a strong negative, can be a weak positive or a weak negative. Doesn't matter what is the example. It's all about how many cognitive aspects, how many cognitive aspects are positive, or how many affective aspects are positive, how many cognitive aspects are negative, how many affective aspects are negative, how many past experiences are positive or negative, all clubbed up in totality, all summed up in totality, and then thinking about what is the overall negative evaluation and what is overall positive evaluation, and then calculating it in this given situation. So for ambivalent, a lot of positives and a lot of negatives, yes, Montu, they are competing. For ambivalent, there has to be a lot of positives and a lot of negatives which are really competing. That's why you are like really confused, that you are having a lot of positive and negative information. So now which side to fall on? So you are in a confusion. You are like in a state of unrest. So that's what. Can there be a possibility of absolute? Well, what is this idea of absolute? I mean, there can be a possibility where we are recalling 5 positive and 5 negative. So that's also there. Is it the same as the same structure like cognition plus emotion plus value equals to attitude? Yes, yes, yes. Payal, if you would have joined the session in time, I started my lecture with this sentence, what you are recalling right now. Okay. So I started my lecture with this sentence. So you are able to connect with it. This graph doesn't feature in this given material. Yes, why should it everything feature in the given material? There should be uniqueness, no, of the lecture, so that no one feels very complacent and comfortable that now I've got the material, so there is no need to attend the session. A person should always remember that things which will be created in lecture will be distinct from what material is provided or what is there in the books. The unique possibility are existing in the lecture. We have to club all of it and then create a wholesome reality of the chapter. All right. What if zero positive and 10 negatives? Then there is a wholesome level of negative evaluation related to the person or the situation. I mean, that's something which is understood, Sai, isn't it? How can ambivalent be related to nuclear test dilemma for India? Because we needed nuclear test. Because if we didn't have the nuclear test done and we were talking about nuclear disarmament, it won't have made sense to the world, Vivek, right? I mean, it is said there's a Hindi poetry